I don't normally do videos where I respond to another video or anything like that, and that's not really what this is. This is more of a inspired by discussion from things that I'm seeing out there. In particular, this IGN video, Baldur's Gate 3 is causing some developers to panic. And I've been seeing that echoed by a lot of people out there. And I did see somebody well known in the journalist community kind of go against this video, and it just got me wondering, thinking, and wanting to jump into this conversation. So I watched this video. I've watched it a couple times, and there's a lot of stuff being said here that I 100% agree with. I don't really understand completely why there's this huge success with Baldur's Gate 3 right now. I bought the game. I've been playing it. I didn't play in the early release or anything like that. I bought it the day it came out. I started seeing how so many people were talking about it. I was like, I'm gonna give this game a shot. I think the marketing, especially on social media, some of the clips, controversial stuff going on in the game, some of the more mature elements, there's a lot of things that help this get a little viral, I think, and appeal to people who normally wouldn't buy this type of game. But the conversation's been like, hey, this game released and it's so full of content. The company's not going to be doing microtransactions or anything like that. It's just boom, here is a complete game. Play it. There's tons of content, customizations, all sorts of craziness, tons of story, decisions that you can make. And that's just appealing to a lot of people. I also think one of the big things too is I like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not big into it as I was when I was a lot younger, but I feel like when I was younger and we would play Dungeons and Dragons, people would look at you like, you're a little nerd, whatever. People like look down on it. Like all the way from the 70s, 80s, 90s, people were like, Dungeons and Dragons for dorks, for nerds, this, and that. But over so many years, I've been noticing a lot more people are embracing, fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, things like that. And Dungeons and Dragons has been getting huge. I remember you would go into the damn bookstore, you would want to go look at, any of the supplements, stuff like that for Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of the bookstores would not have a very big section. You would have to go to like a hobby store, a comic book store, those places that were, relegated for the nerds to go find stuff for their hobbies. But now you go into Barnes and Noble, there's freaking walls of stuff for Dungeons and Dragons, collectibles, things all over the place. There's more people embracing this franchise and just fantasy in general than there ever was. I mean, let's just be straight. And I don't think that's necessarily 100% why this game is blowing up, but it for sure is helping. It's helping. I think in this video, IGN, this guy here said something about how he didn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, that's not what the appeal was for him, that he just, jumped into this. He wanted something that was narrative driven and, just a big game type of thing. That's what drew him in. And I think each individual person's reason is going to be different. For me, it's like I like Dungeons and Dragons. I've never really played any of the Baldur's Gate games. I own the first two, like the remaster or something, or whatever it was. But I haven't played them. I never played them back in the day. I never really played any Dungeons and Dragons games as far as video games go, other than Eye of the Beholder on the Super Nintendo. That was the only one I ever played. I never, I was more into the Japanese role-playing games type of thing. But I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit, and I've been sucked in. I've been wanting to do some content on it. But it really does speak to like, hey, this company, they weren't backed, from what I understand, they weren't backed by Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, or anything. Like they had to pay for the, everything to do this game. They weren't backed by the company. So, the effort they put into it, the full package here being released, maybe it's not perfect. I've heard some people say, hey, there's elements like in the third act where there's some glitches. There's some things that are breaking certain things. It's not perfect. You can't say it's perfect, but there's a lot of people out there, hey, this is game of the year. I've seen a lot of people have no issue playing it from beginning to end. And then I have been seeing a few mumblings out there that, yeah, there's a few things here and there that are broken or messed up type of thing. I haven't seen anything like broken and my time playing it. I'm not like crazy far into it, but it just kind of speaks to, there's so many games being released now where I think it's like, they try to suck into like psychology, some kind of like psychosis of a gamer. I don't freaking know. Like mobile gaming, you know, there's the big thing, like you get it, you free to play game, right? And then you get hooked, and it's like, shit, I can't play anymore. I have to, you know, let this timer run down, but I can buy some gems and continue on. And, you know, these mobile developers would make millions, billions of dollars off of this type of game. And console gaming and PC gaming started getting like very close to that. Loot boxes, freaking microtransactions, battle passes, just a grind fest of having to pay more and more money to, you know, get that dopamine hit to be able to progress or feel like you're on an even playing field or you could continue playing. And I think that's gotten really old. For me, I have a hard time embracing games like that where I have to continually contribute. Like DLC for me, I think DLC is a different thing. You know, if a game releases and it's a full-on game complete, you know, you get games like Legend of Zelda, you know, Tears of the Kingdom, stuff like that. If they were like, hey, bam, that's a complete game right up in your face. You don't have to spend anything extra. Just play it. But maybe a year later, hey, we developed this DLC to expand upon that story. You spent your 60, 70 bucks on that game and you are freaking happy and you loved it. Like you know, if I loved it, I'm not going to be hating because they released additional content later on to expand on the game. I personally think that's fine. What I don't think is fine is the nickeling and diming of people with battle passes and all these little like, oh, you could buy costumes, stuff like this. Some people I know will have the argument that that's not that you could just say no, you don't need it, and you don't. But you know, certain games will have that loot box aspect where it's like a roll of the dice type of thing, and you're spending money. I hate it, man. So a game like this, it is refreshing. It is refreshing. But I don't think that developers are necessarily panicking because of the success of Baldur's Gate 3. This is a special game. This, like other games out there, Elden Ring, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm sure you guys could throw out many others in the comments section. Special games that people will talk about for years to come. They were complete experiences. They just can continue to be played. There's no weird little elements that get shut down or, you know, you had to pay more money to experience the full game. No battle passes. These are the types of games that just, they go into the history books in a positive manner, I think. Developers are not panicking because they're going to continue. And it's not the people, it's the corporations, the companies, the people from the top. Because no matter the success of Baldur's Gate 3, how many copies have sold and will sell like on the PS5 and Xbox in the future, I'm sure these other games that have microtransactions, loot boxes, battle passes will still be way more profitable than this game. So why would they panic? Why would they panic? Just doesn't make sense to me. But let me know what you guys think. Really do appreciate you guys hanging on this rant and ramble for the day. Thanks for watching. Bye.